and welcome to another episode of JP and the Beans Talk. As always, I'm your boy Beans.
Hey, JP here with Beans, per usual. There's a good energy in the gym.
Especially when you have brownies, and I'm very excited. I haven't even opened one up yet.
Here's the deal. You eat as many of those as you would like. Because I'm going to overindulge intentionally after we're done here and before I go to bed. I'm going to get a tummy ache like a little kid, but I'm also going to sleep like a little kid. So happy, so delicious, so scrumdiddlyumptious. Come on, it's brownies and milk.
I just need you to know, it's very easy to win me over.
Yeah.
This is one of the ways.
Dude, I think a person that can be coerced or bribed with food is a person of, frankly, high moral character.
You ask Josh and Emily what it takes to get me to do things, they will respond with meat. That's it.
How is that bad?
No.
Like, hopefully that they mean that as the compliment that it should be.
It is a compliment.
Good. Okay. Good.
That's how I take it. I take it as a compliment because
Yeah.
I love meat so much.
You know, I had a birthday recently, and
You did?
I did. I mean, recently, like a month, like October, right? So we're firmly in November. So recently, being relative. Anywho, my parents were like, "Son, would you like, money as a gift?" And I'm firmly in my 30s, so gifts at this point, it's like I've got everything I could possibly need. So this is just icing on the cake of my life, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like, hey, do you want money, gift card, or would you like meat? I was like,
Meat.
meat, please, meat, please. And so they bequeathed me with some fine steaks. It was the right choice. It's fantastic.
It's always the right choice.
Yeah, absolutely love it. You know
Meat.
what else is the right choice? Us going to see Eternals, us doing an instant reaction video. You're
Yes.
welcome if you haven't gotten on that train yet.
Make sure you check the Facebook page and soon to be on YouTube as well.
You bet. That train is only growing. We're adding cars to it with every movie. So
And
I
yes,
could probably let that analogy die, but
no, well, we'll never hit the caboose, so it makes sense.
love it.
We're the engine. Lots of cars that following it. There will never be a caboose.
No. So we got a lot of Eternals to talk about today. I think it's going to take up the bulk of our time, which is
Heck,
great.
yes,
It's
we're going
appropriate.
deep dive, like
There's a
off
yeah.
the deep dive.
Lots to unpack. Spoilers all over the place. So if you're trying to avoid spoilers,
This
I
is
don't know
not
why
the
you're
place.
listening. No.
You should have already watched our instant reaction. You should have went and saw the movie by now,
Yeah.
and then.
You're
And then,
back.
and now you know what you're diving into at this point. This is what we do every time.
This is the meat.
This
is the food.
this is the meat. This is the entree.
Darn right.
This is the big old steak.
This is not the gift card. This is the payoff.
This is not the mashed potatoes.
No.
That'll come later.
No. And mashed potatoes are fantastic. Real quick, on the topic of food and mashed potatoes, this is just making me excited for Thanksgiving,
Oh my gosh, yes.
which in my mind is the most pure holiday there is.
Mhm.
The glorious, best holiday there is, because it is entirely a holiday devoted to food.
And it's around my birthday, so it's a
Good
double.
on you.
It's a double whammy.
Well,
Someday,
that's fantastic.
every blue moon, it's once in a blue moon, it's lands on the same day.
Wow. Double jeopardy.
It's a blessing and a curse.
I mean, think about this. It's a day where you get up, you eat.
Watch my Cowboys play.
That's right. You're a Cowboys guy.
Cowboys
You got
always
Cowboys
play.
Always on Thanksgiving. Watch some football. Take a nap. Wake up. Eat again. Eat the best leftovers of your life. I mean, I don't think it can be topped. It's amazing.
It's true.
Best holiday there is.
It's right there.
So I don't know how we segue from that into Eternals, but we're just going to jump into it. So we saw Eternals, Riley.
And they all eat together like a family
There you go.
and drink
You did it.
spit beer.
You segued. Spit beer. So spoilers are going to abound. Eternals are going to abound. Latest Marvel movie, Eternals, came out this past weekend. Let's just dive into it.
I actually want to start it off this way.
Okay.
Because
ease into it.
there are
Dip the toe in the pool.
there's so many new characters introduced.
My goodness.
So, and I kind of already know your answer, but I will give you the chance to elaborate.
Appreciate that about you.
Your favorite character in the movie,
Okay.
and why?
Okay. So the Gilgamesh. I was stoked
I knew.
to see Gilgamesh, and objectively, I don't think Gilgamesh was given as much time to really to shine.
Correct. I agree with
a
that.
lot.
I agree with that.
But I still, and I really was excited for Gilgamesh because he's this like beefy, broad, jacked Asian dude that seems to have a good vibe. The kind of guy that it's easy to say, I would hang out with that guy. I would get along with him.
We would have a beer together. It
have
would be
a
a
beer
merry
together.
time.
Maybe a push-up contest that he would win. We would laugh. We would drink another beer. Homemade beer, as it turns out. He would make the beer. And
Like Thor and him would get along great.
oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. So I still really enjoyed his character. Admirable guy, but
For sure.
Gilgamesh by far was the character that I was looking forward to the most. After seeing the movie, still love me some Gilgamesh. Kingo was an awful lot of fun. Awful lot of fun. That may be my favorite character in that movie that's not named Gilgamesh. And
Kamal
character-
Nanjiani nailed it.
Yes, yes, and certainly the character that I'm looking forward to seeing more of out of all those Eternals. Give me more of Kingo
Yeah.
all day long.
I think.
How about you?
Did you have the roster pulled up? Is
Let
that
me get that pulled up.
because
Yeah.
their
Yeah.
names are so all over the place?
Very,
So-
very unique.
For me, I need it's just good for me to see that, but I'm pretty much see if he would have gotten more screen time, it definitely would have been Kit Harington's Dane Whitman,
Sure.
but we didn't get to see him very much, so I can't count him, and he's not an Eternal. And besides, my hype was already there beforehand because I'm a Game of Thrones nerd, and I
that's
love
fine.
my boy.
That's fine.
I love my boy Jon Snow. I will follow him to the depths of hell. So,
Good choice.
yes.
Good choice to go to hell with.
But my favorite character, I'm probably going to have to say Kingo as well. He was just naturally funny.
He was terrific.
It didn't feel forced, and it was great.
No, very organic.
Like, he was definitely number one. And then just his banter with his
Oh my
with his
gosh.
follower with the cameras
Right?
is just
Karun.
it's priceless. By the way, fun fact.
Outstanding.
I don't know if you follow Marvel on anything, but I follow them on Instagram.
Okay. Okay.
And they're releasing new character posters. So Dane Whitman got one, and freaking Karun got a character poster. Out of all the characters in
That's
this
good
movie,
That's
you
good
you
fun.
figured it'd go to the deviant or the main deviant bad guy, who was Bill Skarsgård of all people, by the way. Who
Good for
would have
you,
picked
bud.
that up? I wouldn't pick that up. But
Yeah. That's outstanding. That's outstanding. Well,
But,
let's
yes.
do this. Let's go through the roster.
Okay.
Because this movie, as we mentioned moments ago, features a ton of new characters. So I think we go character by character breakdown. We've touched on our favorites a little bit already.
I
so
love it.
That's great.
I love it.
I think we also want to unwrap, along with these characters, what their individual skill sets were. Because as we touched on in that
Yes.
instant reaction
Yes.
video, something that was, I think, largely a pleasant surprise to us was that each character had a very distinct set of skills.
Yet, what was great about it too
Yep.
is in design-wise, they all looked similar enough, so you knew that they were related in a sense.
Yep.
Like you knew
Yep.
they all came from the same thing.
Some
You
commonality
knew they were
there.
a team.
Right.
Like, yeah, I think just bringing that all together, they all looked.
They all have some measure of enhanced strength.
Correct.
Right? Like they're certainly not just at your baseline human being.
Like if you
level.
punched them in the face, you'd still probably break your
Yeah.
air hand.
Right. But something that I was really wary of going into the movie was when we had done our research months ago. So many of the Eternals, as we kind of went character by character, based on who was going to be in the movie, using the old Google to find out more about them, there were a lot of similarities between the characters, not a lot of clear distinctions, and frankly, just like OP'd skill sets.
Oh yeah, for
Like,
sure.
they're huge.
They're gods. It's like 19 different Supermen.
Yeah, and I think that can be a. Excuse me, hold on. Gotta stop smoking. That's a challenge that I want to say isn't always handled with maybe not handled poorly, but not handled with a lot of clarity as far as, hey, what's the difference between one character and another? Like, what I'm trying to say is sometimes the power that one character may or may not have just kind of fluctuates to fit where the story wants to go.
Yep.
Like, I'm thinking of the Thor movies in particular. It's like there are times where Thor just wrecks everybody, and there are other times where Thor is
Getting
evidently getting wrecked. Like, I'm thinking of Thor: The Dark World, where he's fighting the cursed dark elf, and it's like, okay, if that cursed dark elf is really that powerful, it's like you would think last longer than he ultimately does, because he's kicking Thor around, and then Loki does him in. So anyway, I appreciated that the characters in this movie were, what do I want to say, they had appropriate boundaries put on them, where it wasn't just, you all have Jesus powers. It's like, no, you can do this, you can do that, and in turn, those characters can't do other things.
Correct, and they feel unique. Like, you can pick them out, and they're not all going to blend together. And you'd be like, well, that guy can do the same thing as that girl, so why does that matter? And then yada 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 yada.
Yeah, and part of me, like, shortly after you and I wrapped up the video, as I was just still thinking through the movie that night, I thought, does that really make sense, given that the sole purpose, as it's presented in the movie, of the Eternals' existence is to battle the deviants? So something I want to get into as we kind of go through here is, okay, how effective is this character really at killing a deviant? Because that is what the Eternals are supposed to do, is kill deviants. And in general, or at least on the surface, you would think if that's the case, wouldn't you just take Icarus and copy paste, copy paste, copy paste, copy paste? So we won't get all the way into that now, but I do want to address that kind of as we go through.
Okay, because I have good reasoning why I think I think would be the case.
Yes, I think there are good reasons, but I think it's a kind of natural question.
I'm gonna write it down so I don't forget, because I think the analogy is golden.
Okay, very excited. So we're gonna go top to bottom as arranged by. Well, we're not gonna do IMDb. We're gonna go with Salma Hayek's Ajax.
Oh, you want to go top of the hierarchy?
Right, so Prime Eternal, something we didn't know going into the movie is there are Eternals, and then there's the friggin' Prime Eternal, right? The leader of the Eternals. Okay, fair enough, makes sense. That is Ajax's role, so she is bestowed with the mantle of Prime Eternal, a.k.a. the leader.
A.k.a. the mom.
The mom.
She's the mom.
She's the mom. Good mom.
She was a great mom.
Yeah.
I didn't have a problem with her.
Yeah. That's great. So her ability, as it was presented, she has inherent leadership skills, okay, not to be overlooked, but her primary gifting or asset is that she can heal the wounds of both herself and her fellow Eternals. Mm-hmm. Handy to have on hand. So,
and not just Eternals, anybody.
No, she's kind of Mom Wolverine in that sense.
In a sense, yes.
A more generous Wolverine.
Very, very more generous Wolverine.
Right. Bear with me. I need to go blow the old shine.
No, you're good. Or like a Deadpool without the cancer. But yes, so yes, she's the maternal figure. She's taking care of everybody. Throughout the entire movie, you kind of see her influence with each other Eternal, where they look up to her and they know that, if they have an issue, like, they come to her and then she'll help them out. That's pretty like a mom. That's like the best. And I'm stuck at that point, but that's pretty much what she was.
No, she clearly has their respect.
Yes.
Right? Like, there's.
She let them fly the coop. She knew that her little birds were growing wings.
Yeah. Even when there's like some questioning of her decision making.
Yes.
It's not in the sense of, man, I always knew you were a fool. Can't believe I've been following you for this long. It's more of a. Disappointed in the decision that you're making. I still respect and appreciate who you are, but I just don't agree with this direction that the group is being asked to go. So there you go. Salma Hayek, Ajax, not a ton of screen time overall.
No.
By the way, like, if somebody wants to pick at the movie in that respect, you look through the whole roster. There's a ton of characters to spend time with here. So it is bound to be the case that some of these characters are going to get less screen time than others. Something that I think is going to be worth unpacking is did the best characters get the most screen time or not? I think that's a potential bone to pick with this one.
See, and I think for her character in this movie, she got the appropriate amount of screen time because she was the catalyst. She was the reason that the movie happened.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she dies because, and then that's what pushes us into this story where it's like, okay,
they're reuniting.
who's going after us? Why are they coming after us?
Right.
And what else is going on? Because something else is going on.
Yeah. No doubt. Okay, very good. So that's Ajax. That's the Prime Eternal. Let's go with the other two that get a really kind of the bulk of the screen time. So Gemma Chan as Cersei, and then your boy Richard Madden as Icarus. Let's start with Cersei.
Boy. Yeah.
So it has the what do you want to call it? Material manipulation.
She's basically like an alchemist in the sense that she can change materials into different things.
Yeah.
So for me, honestly, probably my favorite moveset because it's just the most versatile.
Okay.
I don't think we got to see her full potential yet as a hero because I think her power set is going to be crazy good, and because we just see it a little bit, but she literally changed organic life, and that's not something she could do. So it's going to be interesting to see if
non-organic materials, so wood, stone, etc.
Can that expand, and what else can she do? Like, I mean, it pretty much seemed like her mind was her own limit. Like, if she can unlock more to her head, I think she can do essentially more. So. And she was like America's sweetheart, you know. That's pretty much her role in it. Like, she loved everybody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very, very loving person.
Mom number 2.
Her skill set was less, I would say, crisply defined, but intentionally so that there was definite room for it to grow.
It makes you, absolutely, and that's I think they have a plan for her character to continue for a while. So I'll be interested to see what they do with her in Phase 4.
Agreed. How do you feel about that? Like, how do you feel about seeing more of Cersei?
I'm good with it because, like I said, her power set is unique. It's not something. I mean, the closest we've seen to it with Marvel is with the Reality Stone and with Wanda. And Wanda's going to be a psycho crazy bitch, and we don't know what she's going to do with hers. But it will be interesting to see somebody.
It's going to be tough to root for one.
Yes, it's going to be interesting to see somebody with a sound mind who's just had like
just less of the crazy.
Exactly. And it's just she's a kind soul, so throughout the whole thing, you know, whatever she's going to do it for the good of all people. So yeah, a mentally sane Scarlet Witch, I'm into it. I think she's got lots of potential, and seeing her alongside my boy Kit again, obviously.
Yep.
#power couple. But yeah.
Love it. Yeah, good stuff. Yeah, I don't know how I feel entirely about the character of Cersei. I think she was fine. I don't know where it is that she ranks as far as, for me, the characters that I felt most interested in. But I do think there's a lot of opportunity for her character to, as she continues to arrive in these movies,
well, I think
to grow into an even more compelling character.
I think that's what the problem with her is you just don't know what growth she's gonna take because, like I said, for me, the coolest thing about her is her powers, but she was kind of the most consistent character in the movie where she didn't really change.
Yep.
Like she was the same throughout the entire thing, except she just took on. You see her slowly become a leader. Mm-hmm. So it'll be interesting to see like what direction they're going to go with in that aspect.
Yeah.
But
so there you go. There's Cersei. All right, Richard Madden, Icarus.
My boy.
Your boy.
My other boy. My not John.
I thought one of the kind of fun little little nuggets that was dropped in the movie, because you can have some fun with the aspect or with the concept of, hey, these characters have been around for thousands of years, essentially since the dawn of mankind. And Icarus, the tale or the legend of Icarus making the wings flying too close to the sun, according to the movie, was a tale spun by none other than fellow Eternal Sprite back in the day. So that's where that legend, again, according to the movie, allegedly originated. So good on the movie, having a little fun with that opportunity, with that concept.
That was so much fun because they did that with a couple different things where they're like, oh, we did that. That was us.
That was all us. Hashtag you're welcome. He was called Superman at one point in the movie.
Yeah.
Pretty fair parallel considering the guy flies, clearly
shoots laser beams out of his eyeballs.
Right? Shoots laser beams out of his eyeballs. In general, seemed to be one of the more
powerhouse,
robust and difficult Eternals to corral. Certainly the at the front of the line when it came time to do battle with the Deviants. It was pretty consistently Icarus, Athena, and my boy Gilgamesh that were at the front of, hey, let's go mano a mano, and then the rest kind of filled in as some supporting roles,
yes.
I would say. That was just part of their skill set. So,
absolutely.
Pretty straightforward skill set for Icarus. I really enjoyed the heel turn of his character. One of, I think, the strengths of this movie, Riley, and we'll get into this more, but I thought there was some really strong, just natural conflict that was created within the character relationships. None greater than Icarus going against the majority of the rest of the team, bringing Sprite along with him in his quest to allow Earth to be destroyed, which is a tough look for those of us wanting to be fans of Icarus.
I still am.
Yeah.
But we'll get into it.
It was also, I think, really well done from a storytelling perspective of it wasn't, for as surprising as the reveal was, it wasn't, it was not thin. It was easy to go, you know what, I get it. I understand where he's coming from. I don't like it.
No, because we're humans. We're bad.
Right,
we're biased.
Right, but it was very Thanos-esque as far as in the Infinity War and Endgame, you understand, you have a really strong understanding of Thanos' motivations, right? And they're not thin, they're not cheap, they're crazy, they're disturbing, but you get it, and that makes that conflict that much more real, that much more compelling. I thought that was really well done. One of the real strengths of this movie was having Icarus turn against the rest of the squad.
I'm still not happy about how he died. Still not happy about that.
Right.
Because
if he's dead, maybe he survived, by the way.
He's dead. But
okay.
But we can go into why I think that later, because we talked about it a little bit Sunday. But yeah. Man. I love him. But I don't know. I'm all over the place because I'm like,
the one part that I thought of his character that was thin, and I glazed or just blazed right past this with Cersei, their romantic involvement, that was thin. Like, he essentially told her, hey, I think you're hot. And then it's like, boom, love. It's like, it takes a little more than that. Like, you didn't have to work for it. I did not buy their relationship other than they find each other attractive. That's good. That's part of it. But they did not, in this movie, from what I could tell or what I recall, do a very good job at showing why they would, as characters, as fellow Eternals, be attracted to each other.
You didn't really see their relationship build.
No.
It was just kind of like they aren't together, and then they are together, and then they're not together.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much it.
Yeah. So,
because now I need to go back in my head a little bit.
Yes.
So he found out their true purpose because he talked to Ajax about it a long time ago.
Yep.
And that's why he ended up leaving her, because he couldn't tell her the truth. But
that was the rationale he provided.
But why?
He didn't want to lie to Cersei.
Yes.
Okay.
So why did she tell him? Did they ever say why Ajax told him?
Boy, if they did, it wasn't. They didn't make a very big deal.
Because that's what I'm curious about. Why did she tell him what was going on?
right?
Why'd she leave everyone else in the dark and not him? Especially if
I
she
don't
chose.
think they were explicit enough with that.
Especially if she chose Cersei as to be her successor, wouldn't she tell Cersei first?
And I don't know. So here's what I'm not sure of, and maybe a second viewing will provide some clarity to this. It is possible that something that I just missed is that Icarus was initially like the second in command. Because, and I say that because in this movie, the Eternals, like their fellow Eternals, once Ajax is dead, right, and we're in the present day, they are deferring to Icarus as their leader. So it's as if there's this precedent that's been set that, okay, Ajax, the prime Eternal, Icarus is number 2, the rest of us are following along, right? Because there is some sense that of surprise that, oh, Cersei was chosen as Ajax's successor. We did not expect that. Like, there's that kind of a vibe from the rest of the Eternals. But I just don't remember if that was explicitly established or say that. That's just me kind of filling in some of the blanks to try and answer that question.
She chose her because he killed her.
Well,
that's why that makes sense.
She chose. Was that it? Like, because
that would be my guess,
or was it because Ajax had responded so negatively to that news? That's another thing where it's like, was that explicit? I don't know if it was.
To me, the reason she was chosen is because she knew if that Icarus was put in charge, the Earth would be done.
Yep.
And she fell in love with its people, just like Cersei did.
Right.
So she's like, I can't give it to Icarus. I can't let that happen. So it's going to go to Cersei. She's going to be the next leader because she shares the same ideals as I do.
Right.
And she knew that eventually Icarus would try to kill everybody.
Yeah.
But I don't know enough about Icarus in the comics to have like a solid opinion, I guess, about his character and how he's portrayed, because I'm sure there's maybe some hardcore comic fans that were maybe upset that he went evil. Well, I shouldn't even say evil. He did what he thought he was supposed to do, and I don't think he's technically a villain for that.
Correct. He ends up being the antagonist of the movie.
Yes.
But like he is the villain, but like the best villains, right?
Yes.
Firmly believe that what they're doing is the right thing, right? Now, there's a few exceptions to that rule. The classic or most common one, especially in the comic book realm, being the Joker, who's just chaos for chaos' sake.
Yep.
But for most films, most superhero movies included, the villains that are most compelling, that are most, frankly, just enjoyable to see on the screen, are those that strongly believe that the choices that they're making are the right choice, and that the heroes they're battling against are actually in the wrong. So, and again, comes back to my point earlier. Great conflict, like that's great.
Absolutely. And the reason I don't say he is technically the villain, but I mean, you saw the change of heart he had at the end because he ended up helping him stop it, and then he was filled with so much shame he decided to go blow himself up in the sun. So, but that's the other problem I had with his character. I don't feel like that guy would have just ended it.
Agreed.
I feel like he would have been like, okay, you know what? These guys obviously wanted to keep the Earth around for a reason, so I need to go find out why that reason is and why humans are so important, and then go from there.
The guy's a little full of himself, right? Like, he is plenty confident. And so I didn't really embrace the sudden, well, I'm just done.
Yep.
It seems like he likes himself too much to have just... I don't know.
It's not.
You want to try and convince me that maybe his shame was so great he couldn't live with it?
He took the easy way out, in my opinion, and I just didn't feel like that was the case.
No, that was disappointing. That could have been handled better. That
I agree.
Did not need to be the route that character went.
We just kill off villains anyways. So.
Jeepers, kids.
Villains.
Yeah. All right, let's keep moving on. Angelina Jolie as Athena.
Probably the coolest powers there was. Because she just decided, you know what, I want a battle axe here, I want a spear there, I want a shield here, I want a sword here.
Kind of a cross of, I'm blending my Marvel and DC here, but a lot of Green Lantern vibes in that respect.
With Wonder Woman.
There you go.
And by the way, they called her the goddess of war throughout the entire thing, and that was badass.
That's great.
So she is Athena in
Right.
Greek mythology.
Right.
They established that she was the protector of Athens. She became Athena. She's the goddess of war.
Super cool. Super cool.
And she's a psycho until the end. And she just clears her head, her noggin.
You know, and I thought that was a really cool twist as well, that what I want to say, the mental trauma that she's working through is actually a result of some imperfect memory wiping, right?
Which is
So
perfect.
Yeah, so it's more nuanced. It has more depth than just, hey, there's some mental brokenness that's going on here, which in and of itself is fine-ish, but just not really enough. So when they added that layer of, no, that's a result of all the memory wipes that the rest of you have gone through, it hasn't been done properly with her. And so what's trying to kind of come through the surface of her mind is the memory of the other planets that over the millennia these Eternals have traveled to, nourished for thousands of years, only to see them be decimated by the arrival of a new celestial. And so I thought that was pretty sweet, pretty dang cool.
And she's a badass.
Woo!
She's a badass. She's one of the few Eternals I am very excited to see again. Because there's just... Like, you want to see a fight between her and Gamora and just see who wins.
Athena.
I agree. But, like... And the fact she lost her rights to babysit is just hilarious.
That was unkind. She'd be a great babysitter. Phenomenal babysitter. Yeah.
She would, like, put you in a tree and just be like, you figure out how to get down.
Yeah. I enjoyed the pairing of her and Gilgamesh.
Yes, that was a great pairing.
Yeah, I thought that was really sweet, especially like when you think of Gilgamesh being as like strong and mighty as he is, kind of taking this subservient role to be willing to like serve her, and I don't know. I thought that was pretty dang cool, pretty dang sweet.
It was just, and also because he's the only one who can contain her.
Mm-hmm.
Like him and Icarus, and he knew
Right.
damn well Icarus wasn't gonna do it.
Icarus not stepping up. No, he's not making that sacrifice play.
He's gonna be too busy off with his lady.
Yeah, he's too busy hanging with Cersei. Yeah, cool character. Not a lot of character development. She was there to be a badass, and she pulled that off.
Yeah,
Great.
I'm very excited to see her character again. I think there's a lot of potential there.
Yeah, it was great. Okay, we're gonna come back to Dane Whitman. He's next on the list, but since he's not technically an Eternal,
That's fine. with me.
let's come back. All right, help me out with the name here.
Kingo.
Yep, Kingo. What's the name of the actor again?
Kumail Nanjiani, and I know that because
Okay.
I'm super into stand-up comedy, and that's where he got his start.
Yeah, super unique casting choice, but outstanding.
He was great.
He was outstanding.
He was great.
To your point, I think it's really well made. Like the humor that he brought was not forced, very natural, not just for his character, but it felt really well placed in the movie. And maybe one of the best utilizations of his humor was when he's, on the one hand, it seems like giving Sprite a hard time. Like, hey, so you ever heard the story of Peter Pan? And you're like, wow, he's needling her a little bit there, a little bit on the nose, referring to her as Tinkerbell and Icarus as Peter, but then he twists it from the joke to a serious, no, I really think this is what this is. I think you love Icarus, just like Tinkerbell loved Peter Pan.
It's just so weird, by the way.
Right. Yeah, a weird dynamic if you think about it for too long. But it was also right on the button. And I don't know there's a lot of actors that could pull that off. Like that really potentially abrupt transition from humor to, no, I'm actually serious here.
Yeah.
So that was cool.
Power set was pretty much
Laser finger.
Yeah, energy projection. Is that what we want to call it? But yeah, and not only laser fingers, but he could also do kamehamehas.
Build it up a
for
little
all
bit.
for all my Dragon Ball Z fans out there.
There you go.
But yeah, that was pretty much his whole thing.
Yep.
He's like a cowboy.
I mean, pretty aesthetically cool. I was glad that they allowed him to develop the ability or show the ability where he could build up the energy
Yeah, for sure.
into a more robust
blast. It makes me wonder how long he can build
Yep.
and what the biggest blast he can do.
Right.
For sure.
That scene where he decapitated the deviant and then it's just oozing all over him. He's hollering out to Karun. He's like, "Did you get that shot?" It's like, "I did, sir." Great.
Just the fact that he had a guy following him around, and talking about another one that was just full of himself. The man has a plane, and he's been the same. He's acted for like 100 years.
Grandfather, father,
which is beautifully done.
Hilarious. They had a lot of fun with the idea of him being around forever and what he would have done with that opportunity. So pretty fantastic.
But yeah, I think he'll just be a fun. I don't know what they're gonna do with him exactly in the future, but yeah.
Yeah, it kind of feels like we mentioned Sprite, and let's transition over to Sprite. Feels like maybe they've been paired up now that Sprite has been humanized, right? Because Sprite was kind of under the care of Kingo, with Kingo guiding her into humanity of, yep, you're going to school.
Yeah, because she was originally with Cersei. Well, no, it sounds like she was with Ajax before she got sent to go with Cersei, right? That's what it sounded like. So it sounds like I
don't know how long she was with Ajax or if she'd gone to
visit it.
Ajax,
yeah,
visit her. You need to link up with Cersei. Yeah.
Very true. Yeah, her character.
So power set was a lot of
illusions.
Illusions, right? Whether it was projections that could be utilized to entertain ancient humans or to literally try and deceive
enemies,
Eternals, deviants. So a legit skill set. Her character was one with that skill set that I really questioned. Okay, and maybe this is the wrong way of thinking through it. Like all the characters we've gone through so far, individually, have a decent shot at taking down a deviant one-on-one. Tall task to be sure, but they've got enough power to do so. What the flip is Sprite supposed to do?
Deceive. And then sneak up and then do what she did against Cersei and then stab him. Just a little.
I don't like her chances. That's where I'm going with this.
I feel like she needs a bigger weapon. I don't think a little stabby stab's gonna work. Yeah. She needs a big stabby stab.
Very tiny knife. Needs the bigger knife.
Yeah. That's
bigger stabby thing. Yeah.
She needs a big old kniffy. But
and one of the really unique parts of her character, right, and this ends up being some conflict for her, is she has been created as a child. Like, all the rest of the Eternals are legit mid-30s-ish
people,
adults,
yeah.
And she is maybe 11.
Probably 14.
You think 14?
I'd say 14.
14? Fair
yeah,
enough. Okay.
She's probably like, in actual years, she's probably 18. But she's probably probably a freshman.
Her character. So, which brings up all kinds of questions. Like, is that how? First of all, I'm very curious if that's how it is in the comics. Like, if her
I don't know.
Is genuinely,
I really don't know.
Amongst the adults, no, and we probably never will. So I don't know how I feel about the movie because, as we've discussed before, these movies are their own versions of all of these characters, right? We've seen plenty of examples where the Marvel movies have been very willing to take just some of the few basic core tenets of a character and then say, and now we're going to bring in 3 other aspects that are totally unique.
Correct.
So I'm not sure whether it's Marvel's, the movie maker's choice, if they were just going straight from the comics. I don't know how I feel about the character of Sprite being a kid. I don't understand the benefit of that from the perspective of your Eternals, your job is to defeat the deviants. I don't get that one. That was hard for me. That was a hard sell.
I think they just did it to give her own problems.
I guess.
They're just going to go younger, then you'll have your own problems.
Yeah.
This is the best I can come up with.
Yeah.
My question is, and I'm assuming that it's yes, but because now she's human, does she still get to keep her illusion power? My guess is yes. but it wasn't talked about.
Yeah, good question.
Because she's no longer an
correct.
Eternal, so I didn't know if she lost her powers
Right,
because
if
of
all
that.
she lost was the immortality piece or everything.
Yeah.
I would imagine that ideally for her, she would just want to lose the immortality.
That would be my
Keep the
guess.
skills. It'd be kind of tough, right? To say, you know what, I'll take nothing. I don't know about that one. Yeah. All right, enough about Sprite. Brian Tyree Henry as Phastos, the latest to show up in the movie. Like, the rest of the Eternals were in the movie for a chunk of time before we saw just about anything of Phastos.
His power set's cool. Basically, he's just
Yeah.
he's pretty much Tony Stark before Tony Stark.
Mhm.
I mean, that's pretty much his thing.
Yeah.
Which was cool because he had some cool tech stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean that's the best I can go. He's
His
Tony
power
Stark
set
without
was
the Iron
similar-
Man
Yeah,
suit.
it was really similar to Cersei in that it was very undefined. Like, what are the limits of this guy? Like, he's just pulling technology out of his arse, but really it's like, you're more of a wizard than than like an engineer, just based on what we're seeing here, which is fine. Again, there's some uniqueness there akin to Thena with her creativity, so I'm all for that, but I found it a little challenging to follow so his role is to, like, is he or is he not supposed to be introducing technological concepts to humans? Because it seemed like there was some of,
He had a limit.
yes, he was, but also no, he wasn't.
Like he was
It was
only
hard to follow.
Yeah, he was only allowed to like stay within their like our technological time.
Mm-hmm.
So he could help them advance a little, but not a lot.
Well, and then I found the scene, like, I understood what they were trying to do with showing him, like, being upset over the atomic bomb being detonated in Japan in World War II. But I didn't understand the line between him and that. It's like, are you really responsible for all of humanity's technology? Like, were you part of the team that built the bomb?
This would be my guess, is that he was trying to help America win the war against, I mean, because obviously it's Nazi Germany. It's not like he's going to take Nazi Germany's side. So my guess is he was helping the Allied powers and being like, okay, here's some tech that we can use to stop this. And then I don't know if he came up with the atomic bomb and was like, okay, we can't use this unless it's last resort.
Right.
And then they ended up using it without his knowledge.
Right.
Or if they came up with that on their own, and he's like, no, because he made some other technological advancement. Like, don't do that. Don't do that. And then they're like, screw you, man. I'm going to do what I want.
And here's the deal, man. Like, all that is fine. The movie, I think, just did a poor job of...
Oh, I agree
They
entirely.
just presented it, and it's like, wow, there's so many questions that I have.
I
don't
agree.
think there's any answers. So that was a little
I agree entirely.
little too thin. Cool character, enjoyed the vibe. Like, he brought some good energy to the gym. All right, he was a nice... Kingo was the main thrust of the humor. Phastos did a nice job when he was presented with bringing his own blend or brand of that as well. So that was great. Enjoyed seeing that. So good character. I'm looking forward to seeing more of the guy.
I am too.
That's great. All right, Lauren Ridloff as Makari. Super cool.
Everything we wanted Quicksilver to be. Everything we wanted Quicksilver to be.
Yeah, really, really cool. And something I'm going to look up here. So her character, right, is deaf. I think Lauren actually
She
deaf
is
as well.
a former Miss Deaf America. I didn't know that was a thing.
No, neither did I, and I think that's fair that neither of us knew that. But I had read that somewhere. I thought, really, okay, that's fascinating. So yeah, how wild is that? How do I say this? I feel kind of bad for not knowing this, but I don't know. I just didn't know that a deaf actor or actress was really a thing. So I enjoyed seeing a character have a significant role, have a sweet power set, and have that, have that challenge not be something that prevented her character from being like a legit force in the movie.
Yep.
That was really cool. Like, it was just, now again, it does raise a question of, just like with Sprite, okay, why are we putting, the whole point is to defeat these beasts. If you wanted to, you could really pick it. Is that really great to have a character that is deaf, that can't hear? Like, is she that good of an asset? But at least the way they showed it in this movie,
She sensed all vibrations.
pretty cool. Sensed all the vibrations, had a great rapport with her teammates. It was outstanding. I really enjoyed her character.
She just did what she wanted.
Yeah,
She's kind of the free spirit.
yeah.
And it was hilarious.
Boy, did she give Icarus a run. Like,
that was
mano
sweet.
a mano? Hello.
Flash versus Superman, pretty much.
Wow.
Marvel's version.
That was great.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, why didn't we get that with Quicksilver? Like, we just decided to kill Quicksilver off in the MCU. That kind of sucks. But like,
Whoops.
and because if it was the real Quicksilver, he would have gotten them both out of the way of the bullets. He
Correct.
wouldn't have been shot. You know what I mean? So, yeah. And the animation for it and everything was fantastic.
Yeah.
It felt
Yeah,
like an
really well
actual
done.
speedster. It's
Yes.
great.
Yeah, really cool. And I think speedsters are awesome. I loved how powerful she was, right? She wasn't just fast. Like, when it came time to, hey, go figure out where the Celestial is being born, she covered a lot of territory fairly quickly.
Yeah,
I think
and
that was awesome.
because I don't think Quicksilver's like that in the comics. But that's like the Flash.
Yep.
That is the Flash. So
Yep.
she could give Flash a run for his money.
Yep, some Flash level speed. That was great. Very cool character. So kudos to Marvel with casting her in that role. I'm not someone that is flying the banner of like diversity for diversity's sake, right? I'm all for the diversity, but let's make sure it's the right choice for that character. It's not just this, hey, we're forcing it. Like, let's
Absolutely.
make it a great part about who that character is, and that was really well accomplished.
This was natural. It didn't feel like she's deaf. You have to like her because she's deaf. Because that's how some things go.
Yeah.
But
No, she stood tall on her own merits. So that was very awesome, very cool, very unique. Barry Keoghan as Druig. What a unique character this guy was.
yeah, so he just could take over the minds of like everybody, and then just get him to do what he wanted.
Could he control the minds of the deviants earlier on
I don't.
during the flashbacks?
I don't think he.
I don't think he could.
I don't think he could either.
Yeah.
Because I think he
He
was
was exclusively
human.
humans, not animals. Like, he was legit just humans, right?
As far as I remember,
Yeah.
because I don't remember any animals being around anyways.
Right. I still don't remember if he ever tried to like manipulate the actions of an animal. I don't think he did. I think it was exclusively humans that he was, controlling.
I think so.
Yeah.
Because that would be pretty OP if you could just do that for all the deviants.
That'd be pretty wild. His character provided a whole lot of, again, coming back to that conflict piece, a lot of great conflict amongst the team with the pushback that he gave of, why are we not doing more? Like, we have all this power, we have all these abilities, why aren't we doing more, getting more involved with humanity to help protect them, to help allow them to not just survive, but to truly thrive? Because he recognized that, listen, yeah, conquering the deviants, that's good, but we have the capacity to do so much more. So why are we being told, no, can't do that? And the answer is because. It's like, well, he saw the flaw in that rationale. It's like, that's not valid. Like, there has to be, he wanted more information. He wanted to understand more. And part of what was fascinating, right? You consider these characters have been around Earth for thousands of years. Mm-hmm. Evidently, he trusted the plan for thousands of years, so you can understand why they would wear on a person.
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
Or wear on, not a person, sorry, but an Eternal, where after thousands of years of trusting, he's going, okay, I have seen so much life, death, destruction. Why aren't we stepping in? It's hard to see how this way, as this plan is working. And it was really fascinating, I think, from a storytelling perspective, how it seemed like they were kind of propping Druig up as, oh, this is going to be the one that breaks the rest of the Eternals, right? He's going to go against the rest of them. When in all actuality, it's Icarus that has the heel turn, and Druig is on the good side when it's all said and done. Pretty crafty.
Yeah, for sure.
Crafty. Yeah. Gilgamesh. Don Lee is Gilgamesh. We touched on earlier. What a
Badass.
beast. What a freaking
Badass.
beast. Just, I mean, essentially generates massive iron fists, punching gloves to punch things even harder than he would otherwise. Woo! He hit stuff and it stayed down.
This is
It
true.
was great. Terrible when he died. Hated that.
Still bullshit.
Hated it.
It was bullshit. But again,
I so desperately want his character to be able to come back somehow.
we'll get into that.
Yeah.
We'll get into that. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think he was just cool. He was the cool uncle of the group.
He was very
was dope.
very sacrificial attitude, from taking care of Athena to embracing the rest of the Eternals when they arrived, to just, you tell he had wisdom,
Yes.
right? He wasn't the type like an Icarus to try and force others to do what he thought was right, but he wasn't afraid to say, no, I think this is how we should do it, and he was a very encouraging force to the rest of the team. So if Ajak was the mom, Gilgamesh was the dad.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Or the cool uncle.
Or the cool
Some
uncle.
kind of legit, wonderful relative. Bless him.
That you look up to and you're like,
Absolutely.
dude, can you make more earthquakes happen? Because you can do that, and that's really cool.
Oh. Outstanding. All right, so there's the character rundown. Let's quick, because he wasn't in the movie for that long. Let's hit on your boy, Kit Harington, Dane Whitman, not in Eternal, but in the movie.
Let's go.
He
Okay.
had a whole lot teased for
It's-
future appearances, future action for our guy Dane.
Talk about breaking my heart live.
Whoa.
The fact, and he can vouch because he sat next to me during this movie.
I did.
When he's like,
The carrot was just being dangled in front of you.
it was rude. So,
Whoa.
because he's like, so no more secrets. And she's like, I don't have any more secrets. And he's like, yeah, I know, but it turns out my family history is kind of crazy. And then she gets taken away. I'm like, no, go into it. Why? I'm still upset about it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still very upset about it.
Yep.
And then, oh my God, we'll just get into it.
You're upset. How upset are you? Because, as far as I know, you tell me if you know otherwise, but we don't know when the Black Knight is actually going to show up, right? Like, we don't know, hey, 2022, 2023, it's just...
And usually they say that,
right.
and they didn't.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know.
Yeah.
I really don't know because there's so much. We'll get into Disney Plus show
Yep.
theories
Yep.
later.
Yep.
But and then the end credit scene. We might as well just talk about that while we got our
Let's
boy.
do it. Yeah,
They
we're on the topic of Dane.
they
there
did-
wasn't a lot of time for him, but he had a lot of time in that second end credit scene.
they showed the ebony blade.
Wow.
That was sweet. I was like, yes,
Yep.
yes. You can see the darkness emit from the sword, and you're like, yes, grab it.
Outstanding
And then some dude in the back's like, now hold up a minute. You sure you want to grab that?
Yep.
And then you're like,
Who?
is that?
Not a voice that was
And-
recognized.
And then I got a text message like 30 minutes after that from this guy. And he's like, well, guess who that was? Okay. And now I know in the thingy, I said I thought it was Merlin. It wasn't.
Good
and
guess,
then,
by the way.
yes. And then my
guess.
second guess, and I didn't say this, my second guess was actually going to be Kang the Conqueror because we know how big of a role Kang's going to take
Another
in
solid
this
guess.
next phase.
Right?
Because I knew for a fact that was a cool black dude talking. So either they made Merlin cool, or that was Kang the Conqueror. And then
Right. Blade.
it's Marshala Ali.
Frickin' Blade.
Marshala la la la.
Which, one of the most... We haven't seen him as Blade yet, but boy, that sure seems on the nose from a casting perspective. Like, let's see, who should this character... Yeah,
Now,
yeah, he should be playing Blade.
what's he doing with Dane Whitman? Why does he know so much about the sword? That's good questions that I can't answer. But having a knight with blade killing vampires, that's sweet.
I'd watch that.
I would too.
I would watch that.
So,
Love that.
yeah. So, there's just... So my hopes and dreams are he either shows up in the Blade movie, which sounds like a very, very possible situation at this point. My personal hope, we get a Black Knight Disney Plus series. Okay? And it goes into the past and the present because, fun fact, Dane is not the first Black Knight. He's like the third or the fourth one to take up... Well, probably not even the fourth. Not
the first.
There's a long line of Black Knights.
Yep.
And like the first one to ever wield the sword ended up turning into a villain. So you have all of this history. You can like see this mantle get passed through.
Right.
And that's what I'm excited to see because there's so much potential there. We can see him get his flying horse, which is also something that everyone should want.
You wouldn't say no if someone's like, my guy, would you like a flying horse?
Exactly.
I'll pass. Are you serious? That's a yes every time.
We could see him slay Fin Fang Foom, which I'm still hoping we ever get on screen. Fin Fang Foom.
There you go.
There's just so much potential. I'm so excited. Yeah. And Kit Harington was like the perfect choice for it all.
Yeah, a lot of teases with Kit.
That was
Dane Whitman.
He was pretty much a tease.
100%.
That's the only reason he was in there. He was a tease the entire movie.
Yeah.
And I was sad.
Yeah.
Because I was looking forward to it.
An opportunity to do more with that character. Like, it was a little awkward when they kind of threw him a bone in the middle of the movie with the FaceTime with Cersei.
It was
weird. Remind us that, oh yeah, by the way, that Dane Whitman guy, still around. They didn't even need to do that. Like, he could have just been in the beginning.
And the end.
At the end.
Talk to your uncle.
Right.
I feel like that will be significant at some point. Hey, you need to go talk to your uncle. That's very important.
Right.
So, but...
Yeah.
My favorite part.
A lot of great character breakdown. A lot of time spent on those characters, which, hey, there's a lot of characters.
Absolutely.
A lot of characters. So let's pull back a little bit. That's a good kind of in-depth with each character. Let's pull back a bit. The movie as a whole, all right? You and I have had a couple days now to digest what we saw. We've only seen it the one time. Haven't seen it the second time yet. What are your big picture thoughts of the movie?
Big picture, like what this is going to do for the rest of the MCU? Big picture?
Let's not go quite that broad. Let's keep it to the movie. We'll stretch, or we'll come even further back eventually. Just with this movie in particular, what'd you think of it? Liked, disliked, loved, hated?
I mean, we'll get the hate out of the way first because if you guys haven't known this by now, this is my favorite part is the hate.
The hate part, the hate portion.
We had probably the worst villain we've had in Marvel MCU. Well, okay, I shouldn't say that because
it wasn't good.
No, we could go back to the Black Widow rant, and we don't want to do that. But it's on par with that.
Yeah.
We have this amazing potential in a character for like this main big bad for the Deviants, played by Bill Skarsgård, who, by the way, was the modern version of It. So I mean, we have a man who's used to the CGI. So there's lots of potential there, okay? And then to just, like...
The Deviants didn't need to exist.
No, I mean...
They almost did not need to exist.
They were...
That is the initial reason that the Eternals came to Earth.
They were a red herring. And it was like... their objective of killing the Eternals got hijacked by the fact that the Celestial was going to be born. So they were going to die anyways. And it got to this... And you get the main one...
Right, who's Skarsgård, Crow...
Who's going around and he's...
Adapting...
Stealing powers.
Right.
Stealing powers. Which, by the way, really cool feature. That he can just steal the Eternals' powers and kill them. Mm-hmm. Okay? Because he's healing himself and then... And then he's getting super strong.
Right.
And so... I thought for sure he's killing off one or two more people.
Right.
Because I was like, this guy is going to come out after the Celestials and emerge as the big bad, and then they're going to have to kill him.
Right.
Not the case. Instead, he goes off into a cave with Thena, and you think things are going to get a little, because you don't know what's going to happen.
Yep.
Because those two are a thing in the comics. And anywho, so, yeah. So you thought, it might get weird. And then, all of a sudden, he's just there for Thena's character development of becoming sane. Which is fine, but he was so easily killed.
I don't understand why he was killed.
I don't understand why he was there at the final battle.
I don't understand why he was killed. Like, Thena could have, like, badly wounded him, but why kill him?
Well,
you spent all this time
building him up.
He doesn't need to die. This is clearly this is an origin movie.
Yes.
Okay, so it's not a one-off, which is its own kind of topic in my mind.
Yeah,
because
for sure.
I didn't know, and it wasn't marketed as, hey, this is an origin of characters you should expect to continue to see. It felt more like a one-off.
Yeah.
In the marketing. So in terms of expectations, that was very different from what I was expecting. I don't dislike that, I think. But as far as what was presented to us prior to the movie, that felt a bit misleading. You got this. And unnecessarily so. And so in that light, this is an origin story for multiple characters that we're going to continue to see. What is the point of killing off Crow? Isn't it more interesting if he is still alive, if he is still out there, because he is adapting, evolving, like he is a constant threat? It's okay if he doesn't end up being the main antagonist.
And he shouldn't have been.
Which is fine, right?
Yes.
Icarus ends up being the main antagonist, along with Aramesh the Celestial, right? The Eternals are trying to combat Aramesh's scheme or goal, and Icarus is paired up with Aramesh. So that's fine if Crow just kind of falls by the wayside as that red herring. But to kill him off? That felt disrespectful.
It felt like he was going to be like the Mordo or the Loki, where he's going to come back, going to be a thorn in the side again.
Absolutely.
Build up his deviant army.
Right.
Because his whole goal is he's going after the Eternals. He didn't give a shit about the humans.
And the Deviants were tough. Like, they gave the Eternals a heck of a time, right? It wasn't the Eternals are clearly so much better and more dominant than the Deviants. Like, no,
they came before the Eternals, and they just went corrupt. They went full throwback to the Green Lanterns. They were the
Manhunters.
They were the Manhunters before there were the Green Lanterns.
100%. Yep.
I did that for you.
I love that. Love that. I had that thought. So proud of you for
going
there.
So, yes. So, I don't know. That was what I did not like about the movie.
Yep.
Now, cool part, we just have a Celestial hanging out and on Earth. Yep. So, I feel like that's going to have potential later on. Okay? I think the best part about this movie, which is a weird thing to pull out of it, and like the main focus, but it really fleshed out the Marvel Universe as a whole for these movies.
Okay.
Like we now have how the Marvel Universe was created. We have, these creators that are just going around creating life.
Yep.
We know one died. I think that'll be interesting to see if they go into that eventually with Nowhere.
Yep.
Where there's just a dead Celestial's head.
Yep.
I think, bringing another group in, because, we don't have to talk about the Inhumans show because that
doesn't exist.
No, it doesn't exist. But they bring in another aspect of the Marvel Universe.
Yep.
These are cosmic gods. And I know we said that...
these are literally the creators.
Yes. And with the Eternals, he said Icarus was this confident dude. But if you think about it, mostly all of them, except maybe Cersei, were arrogant in their own ways. Because they were OP as hell. Right. Nothing was really going to stop them.
Right.
And, they're all different kinds of cocky and arrogant.
Yep.
But they're all kind of like, you're not going to stop me. The only person that's going to stop me is you. Like,
right. Keep rolling.
So to see that, I think, it just builds. So now, let me refocus. So now, at the end of the movie, they're like, oh, guess what? There's more of us. So now they have this whole purpose of we need to find the rest of the Eternals. Who else? What other planets are going to get blown up? Can we save these planets? Maybe they don't feel the same way. And
Yeah, how many
Is-
times
is-
is that story playing out over the universe?
And-
Band of Eternals sent to a planet at the behest of a celestial. Like, is that
Is it
just
all
an
the
Earth
same-
thing? Is it one planet at a time, or is it happening multiple planets all over the universe?
is it all the same celestial sending them out, or
Sure.
does each celestial have a different role? That's something we don't know.
I thought they said Aramesh was the maybe
Judgment?
I mixed up this word, like the prime celestial.
Maybe. I'm not
Big
sure.
maybe, big maybe.
I'm not
Yep.
sure.
Yep,
I'm gonna have to do some more research.
same.
But, like, yeah, I think that's the best part about this movie is you get to see, okay, we're really building this world. This world feels whole. It's not just taking place on Earth. We've really
Okay.
built a universe.
Yeah,
Like, we're gonna start to
fleshing
see.
out that universe even more.
Yeah,
kind
we're-
of at that cosmic level.
We're gonna start to see stories that aren't just gonna involve Earth. I mean, we already kind of got it a little
Yeah.
bit with Guardians, but Thor
Yeah.
4 is going in that way where they're probably going to be world hopping.
Right.
And then, sure, there might be an impact on Earth, but they're pretty much saying, hey, Earth isn't going to be the main focus anymore. This is a huge world. Earth is going to be a part of it, but be
Yeah.
ready to go to other places.
Sure.
And I think that's important.
Okay, that's a great perspective. I certainly hadn't gone down a similar path, but I like what you're saying with the cosmic aspect of, hey, we are going to be spending less time just tied down to Earth, and we're going to literally be exploring the rest of the corners of this galaxy.
Which is
right?
what I love, and that's what the MCU is going to have to do to stay relevant and fresh. We're going to have to see things we didn't plan on seeing. Eventually, the Inhumans are going to come in.
Of
I have a
course.
feeling that they're going
Yeah.
to come in.
Yeah.
I know they're already talking about Miss Marvel's powers being different than her comic book counterpart. We don't have to get into that, but and then we're also seeing the creepy side coming out. Moon Knight's going to bring in this new thing. If we get Daredevil back, that we're getting the street level heroes back.
Yeah. See, and that's where I kind of wanted to go. So I love your perspective, because part of what I think kind of conversely to you struggled with this movie, and it's not necessarily the movie's fault, but I found myself missing like some street level action. Like, this was so big and so cosmic. Like, and it's not the movie's fault in and of itself, but I am hankering for some Daredevil. Right?
And I think,
But I love what you're saying with, hey, it's expanding the cosmic part of the universe. We're not just getting limited to Earth. Like, we've spent a lot of time there. That's great. We've explored a lot of it. That's great. Now it's time to go off planet.
And
right?
we're widening
explore some
the-
other things. So that's a great perspective.
Yeah.
Love that.
they're big. They're making the sandbox bigger. But I think you're going to get your street level
I do
fist
too.
brawls
I do too. I think it's just a matter
with
of time.
Spider-Man. I think
Yes.
it will be. I think it will
Yeah.
be 1 month, and we're going to be sitting
Yeah.
here being like, "Did you see that street fight?"
Yeah.
And then, "Did you see that street
And-
fight?"
And Blade,
And-
like we mentioned him, he's going to be on Earth.
That'll
Like,
be street
the
level-ish.
street level stuff is coming. It has just been a run now of
Who knows what they're going to do with
not street
Morbius?
level. Like, Shang-Chi was not street level.
No,
It started there, but
it
very
started
quickly
there.
got off of the street level.
But the street level stuff was
Was
some
great.
of the cool stuff,
Street
because
level
that was
stuff
when they
was
really
great.
got martial art.
Yep. It just didn't stay there for very long. So that's more my thing than, again, anything
I'm with
that
you,
is
though.
A genuine like critique of the movie. Like, it is supposed to be big, cosmic. I'm not sure how well the movie. And listen, this is a big. We talked about meat earlier. This is a big piece of meat to take a bite out of. But when you're playing that game of, okay, these characters have been around for thousands of years and have all this power, that's tough to pull off, because, as we mentioned with Druid earlier, it's like, how are they not doing more? Like, how is it taking them thousands of years to realize, excuse me again, you know what, destroying the planet, bad idea. Okay, it took you a while to get there, but great.
And
And even, like, I don't know, it raises so many questions that's tough to answer, like, in a 2.5-hour movie.
And for me, it also is like, okay, you've obviously done this to other planets.
Yeah.
Why Earth? Why is Earth special? Why are we special? Because
Yeah, that was a little thin. Like, where Ajax, like, well,
And-
people of Earth brought back all this life So why would we destroy this planet that brought back all the life if the point of destroying is so that more life can be created? It's like, I got it logically, but it didn't settle into the emotional level. It was like, okay, I get your concept, but I'm not sure that's really clicking for me as a compelling motivation to have had one stance for at least thousands of years, or in the case of Ajax, if her memory hasn't been wiped, maybe millions of years, to all of a sudden go, here's this one little thing, changing my stance. Seemed like a pretty abrupt pivot. So, ambitious, love the idea, like we talked about a little bit in the video. One of the things I really do enjoy about the movie is these are characters I don't know anything about, so I'm coming in with a fresh set of eyes.
Absolutely.
No expectations. Excuse me, man. Again, the smoking. I don't know whether I now or later will ever say, man, I loved this movie, but I firmly like it. And what I mean by later is the first Captain America movie, okay? Captain America, the first Avenger. When it first came out, I saw it and was fine with it. I was like, okay, good enough. It didn't blow me away. I watch that movie now. I enjoy that movie a lot more now that other Captain America movies have come out, that we've gone through the gambit of Infinity War and Endgame, because now I get to go back and watch that movie and I get to appreciate how it built and established who that character was, and I get to enjoy seeing that character at that point in his development.
And I think that's the question.
That might happen here.
I'm not going to say, I think that's the question, because we have no idea where they're going to go with it.
Right.
Like, we see three of them get kidnapped. We see the other three go off into space looking for the other ones.
Right.
Then they happen to run into Thanos' brother, who also sings well. And then...
good skill set.
Yeah, like... I think that's where it is for me, because it's like, well, where do you go from here?
Yeah.
And what's your plan? Because
Yep.
what villain could you possibly come up with that's going to be higher up or on par with these characters who are gods?
Right, like we haven't seen them up against a Thor, a Shang-Chi. We don't know where their skill sets and
they would wreck Shang-Chi. Shang-Chi would die.
By the end of that movie, he's pretty beefed up.
I mean, he does have the 10 rings.
Right, with the
and
with
we
the
also
rings. With the rings,
that's
exclusively with the rings.
And we don't know the full potential of those yet.
Exactly.
Exactly. And then also something that we were gonna wait to bring up, but oh, don't tell me I lost it. Oh,
you got it.
The fact that we had 3 of them die. Mm-hmm. The Eternals, a lot of their lore in the comics is rebirth, so they all come back. So I have a feeling we're going to see those 3 that died come back. I don't think they're dead forever, and I think we're going to see. I think we're going to see how they come back, because I think that's all of a process. I think I honestly
hard to
think
imagine any of them being truly dead.
Exactly. I think we'll see them go back to their home base or whatever their home base was.
Yep.
But yeah, and
no doubt. So I liked how ambitious it was. Like, to your point of the cosmic aspect, that's great. I think it may have bit off a little more than it can chew. I think it just kind of left itself a little vulnerable from a storytelling perspective, because as it's going ahead, like, it just doesn't take the time to flesh out the answers to all of the questions that have to come up when you're saying these characters have been around for all these millennia. It's like, there's so many questions, you just can't answer it. Like, you just can't.
And I think that's almost intentional too.
Sure.
Because you're like, okay,
sure.
Well, what's your plan here?
Yeah, I enjoyed the non-linear storytelling. I enjoyed the blend of present time flashbacks. I really liked that. I thought it really was creative in how it fleshed out the characters, their motivations.
It didn't feel annoying. Like, sometimes a flashback comes and you're like, ugh, a flashback?
Yeah. Okay, so let's pull back even further. Why is there, allegedly, maybe there's not really, because I haven't talked to anybody that really didn't like the movie. It seems like there's some strong dislike for this movie. I don't get that. Why would that even be the case? Because who has the expectation going into this movie for it to be anything? Nobody knows anything about these characters. And so I don't know how you go in this movie, watch it, and go, well, that sucked. It it's okay if you're going, liked it, didn't love it. I get that, but I don't get the, wow, that was terrible. It's not terrible.
For me, my guess, and because we talked about it a little bit too, is we were like, okay, this is definitely for the hardcore Marvel fans. These are for the comic book lovers. This is for the people who have been following Marvel for years and years and just love the lore, because that's what this is. But in the same sense, like, if you think about it, there were some parts that kind of dragged a little bit. They were a little boring. You're like, why are we still here with this?
Took its time.
Yeah. Like, you could have argued that we saw too much of Babylon. You could have argued we saw too much of so-and-so.
Sure.
You can make that argument. I don't think so. I think we were there long enough. And then you could also argue, like, some of the characters almost kind of felt like one-dimensional. In the sense, Icarus is the same throughout the entire movie. It reminded me a lot of Captain Marvel, and what I disliked about Captain Marvel is because she was, I'm the best there is, the whole time, and there was no sad, or there was no happy, there was no, Icarus was all business throughout the entire movie, which is fine. Because I think that worked for his character in this instance. I didn't think it worked for Captain Marvel. But I feel like that can be where it would be. Some of the pull and
I'm not trying to say like this is a perfect movie. This is a great movie. It's good. I don't think it's
and then
great.
Crow.
It might be right. Again, it might have an opportunity as time passes, as additional films come out with the characters that were introduced, that we might, or that folks in general might go back and look at this movie and go, oh no, wait, that was really solid. That part of it was really cool.
Oh, this makes sense now.
Yep, exactly. So curious to see how that, how that kind of unfolds. But that's one thing I just don't get, because I understand. I bring this up all the time, right? But Superman's a tough character to have people really enjoying a movie.
Exactly.
Because there's so many expectations that are various in everyone's minds of what Superman should do or should be.
He's God.
The internals, none of us know.
Exactly.
So, there you go. All right, big picture, where do you see Marvel going after this? What do you think?
Well, it's interesting to me because we are going from multiverse to... When did Black Widow come in? Did she come in before Loki or after Loki?
Let's see.
Because we're going multiverse, and then we go to cosmic, and now we're going back to multiverse again.
Boy, they might have intersected.
Yeah. So it's just, I guess I don't know, because you built up this like the next.
I think we're only going bigger, right?
Yeah.
This next Spider-Man movie, okay, yeah, there's going to be some street level stuff. Pretty clear that it's going to open up even more doors, even more avenues to additional universes. It's not going to make things. How do I want to put this? It's not going to bring the focus more narrow.
Yeah.
It's just a broadening. It's a widening. There's just been a lot of world building, a lot of cosmic world building, a lot of getting off of Earth and fleshing some things out.
And I think it almost comes to the point where we're going to see the multiversal villain, which is going to be Kang.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be a cosmic big bad, and right now, the only guess that I would even have remotely that would make sense right now would be Galactus, and I might be just putting my big boy pants on, hoping for a miracle.
There you go.
But like, it almost feels like with this cosmic movie they built and they spread, and we don't know what they're gonna do, because now we know that there are these all-powerful beings that just create worlds. Well, there's gonna be something that goes out there and destroys worlds. And that's where Galactus comes in. So, and that's why. So I think we're gonna get like that cosmic, and we might get, instead of like an Avengers movie, we might get a cosmic-esque Avengers movie where it's the Guardians of the Galaxy pairing up with the Eternals, going against a Galactus, or something on par with that level. And then we're getting that multiversal villain,
Yep.
And technically we might be getting that street villain too, because of Madam Hydra with Dreyfus. So I think
Maybe a little Kingpin action.
instead of focusing on one big bad,
Yep.
in where they had Thanos connecting to all these things,
Yep.
I honestly think we might be getting 3 big bads, and it would make sense, and they don't have to work together for it to work.
Sure.
And then hopefully out of all of that, Doom rises, and then he is the Thanos. Doom is the next Thanos, and instead of, they just don't kill him.
Yeah.
I think that's where we're at.
Yeah. There are so many great villains that have not had their opportunity yet, that I think my hope is that whichever villains the MCU chooses to highlight, that they take their time with. Like you said, don't kill them off. Let them be in, an influence, a factor in multiple movies.
Don't throw the toys away.
No.
Keep playing with them.
No. There's so many fantastic villains out there. So, a lot of good opportunities there, to be sure. I'm fascinated to see where the characters of the Eternals fit in amongst the rest of the MCU. This was part of what surprised me about it ending up being an origin story, is that it really stayed self-contained. There were references that the Eternals made to humanity, to the Avengers, but one of the products, right, of them being so intentional about staying out of the influencing humanity realm is there were no real opportunities to overlap. Like Shang-Chi has a natural intersection with Wong. There's none of that here with the Eternals. So I'm very curious.
And that's okay.
How and where, no doubt, I'm very curious how and where these characters fit in with the overall narrative. That's just unclear to me, and that's okay. Not a critique, just an observation.
I'll be interested to
see where that goes.
I think the next big thing for on an Eternal sense is to see where Guardians 3 goes.
Mm-hmm.
We're getting Adam Warlock in the third one.
Mm-hmm.
That's been confirmed. So it'll be interesting to see where they go with that. I mean, there's rumors they're going to kill Drax off.
Ooh, no. Nope.
But
nope, I'll quit. I'll freaking quit.
But anyways, like that's the next thing to figure out where they're going to go cosmic wise, and I think there's going to be setups in there too.
Yeah.
But
yeah. All right, good things. What else you got? I mean, we've rambled on this topic for quite some time. We've unpacked it to the full. Anything else that you want to hit on before we call this one a podcast?
Well, because I wanted to bring it up.
But
there was you said, you're like, I don't get how not all of these characters could kill off a deviant.
There we go.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. Yep. What was the premise of that question again?
So in my mind, if the primary function of an Eternal is to defeat, kill a deviant, why is someone like Sprite? I don't understand. Hey, I'm a Celestial. I'm building the perfect weapon to defeat a deviant. Here's Sprite.
Because I think, my personal opinion, I take it as it's like an RPG.
Sure.
You have your warriors, you have your healers, you have your tanks, you have your wizards, okay, and we got a little bit of all of this.
It's team oriented. It's not meant to be a one-on-one.
Exactly.
That's fair.
So you have Icarus, who takes up the front point. Mm-hmm. He's your flyer, and then, okay, well, we got illusions to back that up because boom, boom, boom. You can cover a bunch of ground, confuse the enemy.
They're designed to work as a team.
Exactly.
Rather than individual units.
That's,
totally fair.
It's like World of Warcraft. Everybody builds their character up, and they're like, oh, I'm going to specialize in this, and then that's what they do. Because think about it, the first Eternal to die is the support character, the one who can heal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But that kind of leads back into my point of, why just have an army of Thenas and Icaruses? Seems like that'd work pretty well.
And my guess is because
sprinkled in.
Because it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Because you can't just have three main warriors, and
Wouldn't
then
work well with each other.
and then and then
Yeah.
you don't have anybody that can heal or protect them
Yeah.
when they're vulnerable.
Totally fair. Small
'Cause-
qualm on my end. I like the diversity. I like the distinct skill sets. I don't think I'm going to get off the Sprite thing. I'm like, that's a little bit too far.
Hey,
But
Loki made it work.
Loki did. That rascal.
Loki made it
Somehow.
work.
Somehow. Yeah.
But-
yeah, all good things. No, good movie. I enjoyed how ambitious it felt. Like it was trying some things with nonlinear storytelling, big cosmic questions. That's great. All for that. I don't think it nailed all of that, which is fine. I also think there's opportunity in those future movies, whether it's Eternals like direct sequels, or if it's Eternals fitting in a
To other
Guardians
movies,
movie.
yeah.
I'm looking forward to seeing more of most of these characters.
I agree.
Yeah, so good things, man.
Oh,
I think that's it.
I think that's
I
it.
think we've done it.
All right. Well, on that note, we covered a lot in this one.
We
So,
did.
and
We
it was
did.
only one topic, and that's okay.
Go see it. Like,
yes.
If you haven't seen it, you'll enjoy it.
I think that's the best. Well,
Go check it
that's
out.
the advice I have for every movie. Don't go
Of
read a
course.
review. Go watch it for yourself,
Go watch the movie.
like an adult. But as always, like, share, subscribe.
Mm.
Yeah. Godspeed.
Thanks for listening.